So just released today, well actually yesterday, and the cover's slightly different than this cover here, is my album, Missile Hey Knee Us. If you say that fast a few times, you'll get what the title is. It's kind of a joke because it's a lot of, the disc basically features a lot of songs that were never released. They're demos and things like that. So like I say the title, Missile, Hey, Knee, Us, a few times fast, and you'll get what it's all about. In any event, I thought I'd kind of talk about a few of the songs on the disc and give you guys an idea of what you've got here. The first piece is something called Hell's Bells, and it was recorded specifically for a sampler CD that I did. Like a compilation disc of various songs from my two other albums, and I wanted to release, instead of releasing those albums, I decided to release like a sampler with several of the songs, and then I put a few new songs on it, and a couple of those showed up here. It's literally, I mean, it's meant to sound like bells, so shouldn't be surprising that that's what you get, and that's why it's called Hell's Bells. The second song on the disc, though, let's just skip ahead a little bit on this. Yeah, it was all recorded on my Korg Poly 600, by the way. In any event, the second song on the disc is something called Color, and it was actually a demo of a song. It's kind of a finished little piece. It was just me on acoustic guitar and vocals, and the recording quality is kind of iffy because it literally was a demo, but it's worth checking out. I actually still like the song quite a bit, even though the recording's a little rough. It's certainly a change from a lot of the other stuff, or my instrumental electronic stuff. Now, the next track is something that I had recorded for my next album, which I wound up never finishing up. Now, I'm actually working on a new one now, and this track will not make it on it because it doesn't fit with the theme. But it's a little piece called Foolie. It's just kind of a silly little piece, all on the keyboards. The next track is something called September's Remorse, and it's another demo. It's actually a really old track. I play everything on it and do all the vocal lines, but the way I did that, I didn't have any kind of multi-tracker, so I made a little Y chord, and I would record on a cassette deck and then move the tape over to a cassette Walkman and run that through the Y along with the new track. And so it's got a lot of distortion, and in fact there's a little bit of pitch problem later, which causes some of the vocals to be a little off key. But it's still a pretty cool song, despite all those problems. It was eventually supposed to be done with a band, but I never wound up doing that. So let's give a little listen. It's certainly the most progressive rock thing on here. Anyway, the next track on here is something called Percussive Attack. You know, I've always been able to play most melodic instruments. I'll take that back. Anything wind instrument, I could never get the whole lip thing. But anything with keys or strings, I could usually play in somewhat of a fashion. But I've never been able to play percussion. So when I was doing that sampler disc that I was talking about, I recorded a piece by setting my keyboard to do drum sounds on the keys, and figured that was about the only way I'd ever be able to record a drum solo, and it's called Percussive Attack. Now the next track on here is something called Seeker, and what Seeker was, it was a song that I wrote for a band I was in, and we used to try different variations on it. And so what I decided at one point was just to record the chord progression for it. Mind you, I'm not the greatest guitar player in the world, and I hadn't really practiced it in a while. I'd been used to playing the bass on it, but I went ahead and put this down. It's kind of a cool little track. Check it out. Now the next tune on here is called Warp Space. And what this was, I borrowed a Rockman from a friend of mine, and I was just playing around. It's kind of like a space rock guitar thing. It's kind of cool. I was having fun with the echoing and stuff. It's very much space rock, but it was more or less an experimentation with a Rockman. It's still kind of cool. Now the final track on here was something called Quasar Suite, and it's like 11 minutes plus. And it was another one of the tracks, along with Foolie, that I had recorded for whenever I was going to do my next disc, which wound up not happening. Like I said, working on a new one now. It's just in the very early stages. But here's a little sample of this piece. Like I say, it's an extensive piece, so check it out. Anyway, that's a look at the album. I'll put a link up to where you can get it if you're interested, but check it out. Thanks.